Getting diagnosed for Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is POTS, and conditions like fibromyalgia can be such a challenge. After sharing information on the doctors who treat my endometriosis and adenomyosis, I continue this series with more on the doctors who treat my EDS, POTS, and fibromyalgia. Like I said, getting diagnosed with EDS is challenging. I faced those challenges like many others have done. For example, as a child, when what my GP termed as growing pains were actually a sign of hypermobile EDS. It took for me to end up in a wheelchair at the age of 31 for there to be further investigations leading to my diagnosis of hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, POTS, and fibromyalgia. If you would like to know more about how I was diagnosed, what my EDS story is, then I will link it all in the description box below. Now, on to the doctors. I live in Mumbai and I've met many doctors here who've had no clue how to help me. We have to remember that EDS is a rare disease because it is rarely diagnosed. Doctors are not trained to look for the rare. They're trained to look for the obvious and then hopefully help you discover that rarely diagnosed condition, such as Ehlers-Danlos syndrome in my case, which actually Ehlers-Danlos syndrome till date has around 13 subtypes. So again, that in itself is quite a challenge. Now, let's look at the doctors who've helped me to get this diagnosis. I'll begin with the city I'm currently in, Mumbai, India. Up first, Dr. Joytsna Oak. Dr. Oak is a rheumatologist and an internal medicine doctor. She is patient, understanding, and a very good listener. She was the first doctor that diagnosed me with hypermobile EDS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and fibromyalgia. Her diagnosis came after she made extensive efforts in understanding my symptoms, including the pain, the type of pain, how my skin behaved, how my blood pressure was in various positions, and going through that entire process of elimination that I just mentioned. She is now my primary care doctor and helps me through almost all the comorbidities I faced because of EDS, such as my recent encounter with a CSF leak. To know more about my head pain, CSF leak, and brain sagging issues, check out the description box and basically what that journey was like. To get in touch with Dr. Oak, you can consult with her online or see her in person at Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital in Mumbai. I will link her details in the description box as well. Next up, my physiotherapist, Vaibhav Daga. Vaibhav Daga not only helped me with my pelvic floor therapy for my endometriosis, like I mentioned in my doctors and endo video, the one that I did about the doctors who helped me with my endometriosis, but he's been instrumental in helping me improve my quality of life. My legs hurt, so do my arm, my neck, my jaw, my fingers, and then suddenly my ribs will subluxate. So he helps to keep me together through aquatherapy, taping, strength training, and the manual therapy he does for me. He isn't specifically an EDS specialist, but he's really looked to understand my challenges and helped me through, so I am eternally grateful for his effort. He didn't give up on me, and neither did he look to experiment on me either. Instead, he took his time to figure out a plan for me and kept a tab on my progress. If you would like to know more about the taping I get done, then I will link that in the description box. Also, if you wish to know how I manage my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, then I've shared that too. So again, check out the description box for more details. Oh, and to get in touch with Vaibhav, then you can do that in the link again in the description box. And just another thing, he's also with Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital, just like Dr. Oak. Next up is my nutritionist, Pooja Udeshi. Having an anti-inflammatory diet is an essential when dealing with chronic pain. Ehlers-Danlos requires you to look at your diet no matter which subtype you have. Although Pooja isn't, again, an EDS specialist, but again, she too has looked to understand my condition and has helped me create a plan that works to improve my health. If you would like to know more about my EDS friendly diet, then more details, yes, you've guessed it, in the description box. Now, to get in touch with Pooja, who also works at Kokilaben Dhirubhai Ambani Hospital, her link is in the description box. So those are the people I get regular support and treatment from. But I did meet a doctor in London, England, Dr. Gayatri Mittal. Now, Dr. Gayatri Mittal is a rheumatologist who specializes in hypermobility spectrum disorders and hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome at the Hypermobility unit in London. After my initial diagnosis with Dr. Oak, I was traveling to London, so I booked an appointment to see Dr. Mittal. During my appointment, Dr. Mittal was very thorough. She went over my history, did some tests, including the Beighton test, and looked at Dr. Oak's notes. It was a pleasant surprise when Dr. Mittal told me she knows Dr. Oak. The world genuinely really is a small place. But what this helped was, it helped me feel at ease. It felt like Dr. Mittal could connect with Dr. Oak's notes and agreed with her diagnosis of hypermobile EDS, POTS and fibromyalgia. This appointment sealed the deal for me. It was on this day that I finally stopped running around for a diagnosis and instead began understanding Ehlers-Danlos syndrome much better. If I had the time, I would have liked to have seen their specialist physiotherapist and occupational therapist there, but I was traveling. So I hope at some point in the future, if London calls again, I would meet the rest of their team. If you would like to know more about the Hypermobility unit in London, which has multiple specialist doctors under them, then I've added their link in the description box. Other than the doctors I have met personally, there are doctors and therapists who have influenced my treatment without me having met them. I feel it's important that I share that too. So the first of the two people are Dr. Pradeep Chopra. I, again, have never met or consulted with Dr. Chopra, and neither am I related to him, but I have seen his webinars. He is a pain management specialist and speaks extensively about managing Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. He is a resource worth listening to and understanding. I link some of his webinars, but I'll also leave it to you to research a bit. Check out the description box for those links. The second person is Jeannie Debonne. Jeannie is a movement therapist specializing in hypermobility, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and chronic pain. Again, I've never met her or consulted with her, but I have read her book, Hypermobility Without Tears, and look to implement all that she teaches. It has really helped me. I relate to her. I relate to her because she has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome, like me. And it gives me hope that if she can help her body, then so can I. I would recommend checking out her online courses on her website. Again, the link is below in the description box. That's it for my list of doctors and specialists who help treat my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, POTS, and fibromyalgia. I hope this helps someone out there. And as usual, if you have any questions, then please feel free to drop them in the comments section below. Also, please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I would be very grateful if you did that. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.